Welcome to my channel. History is filled with events that shape humanity, moments that inspire awe, fear, and reflection. Among them, few are as haunting and transformative as the Black Death. Today, I want to take you back to the 14th century, to explore this devastating pandemic, its origins, spread, human impact, and the lasting changes it brought to our world. The Black Death was not just a disease. It was a force that swept across continents, silent, invisible, and deadly. It struck Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, killing millions in just a few years. Entire towns and villages were emptied. Streets became silent, markets deserted, and funeral pyres burned constantly. People watched their friends, families, and neighbors fall one by one, with no cure, no explanation, and no hope. Fear and grief became daily companions of humanity. Imagine walking through a 14th century European city. Streets were narrow, crowded with people and animals. Houses were made of wood and stone, their interiors smoky from cooking fires. Suddenly, whispers spread of a deadly sickness. Someone in the next house falls ill, fever, vomiting, painful swelling appear. Panic spreads. People had no idea how it traveled, why it struck some and not others. Medical knowledge was primitive, superstition rampant, and fear widespread. The disease was caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, carried by fleas on rats. Trade routes, ships, and armies helped it move rapidly across continents. Ports were first affected as ships carried rats and fleas. Within weeks, inland towns reported cases. People believed it was punishment from the heavens, bad air, or a curse. Doctors tried everything from bleeding patients to burning incense, but nothing worked. Entire families were wiped out. Farms were abandoned, fields went untilled. Markets stood empty. Black smoke rose from funeral pyres, and cemeteries overflowed with bodies. The sight of death became routine yet unbearable. People turned to prayers, rituals, or superstition for protection. Some isolated themselves, others tried to flee cities. Yet the plague spread relentlessly, indifferent to social status, wealth, or power. Major cities like Florence, Paris, London, and Constantinople were hit hardest. In Florence, nearly half the population perished. London saw empty streets, abandoned homes, and deserted markets. Constantinople, a hub of trade connecting Europe and Asia, witnessed thousands of deaths within weeks. Governments struggled to manage the crisis. Clergy offered comfort, but even they were not spared. The social impact was enormous. Labor shortages caused wages to rise for survivors, weakening the feudal system. Peasants could demand better conditions, and mobility increased. Religious faith was tested, some turned more devout, others questioned divine protection. Art, literature, and philosophy absorbed the shadow of death. Pain, loss, and mortality became central themes of human reflection. Fear and paranoia accompanied the disease. Scapegoats were sought, and minorities were falsely blamed. Jewish communities were persecuted in some regions. Yet amidst horror, acts of courage and humanity emerged. Doctors, clergy, and neighbors risked their lives to help the sick. Communities created isolation zones or adapted rituals to survive. Humanity endured through resilience, empathy, and communal effort. The Black Death came in waves. The first major outbreak lasted from 1347 to 1351, with periodic resurgences. 60% of Europe's population perished during the initial outbreak. Entire cultures, cities, and ways of life were altered forever. Economically, the aftermath reshaped Europe. Landowners had to offer better wages and conditions to retain labor. Cities innovated in trade and industry. These shifts laid the groundwork for the Renaissance. Philosophically, the plague forced humanity to confront mortality, ethics, and the fragility of life. Artists depicted the fleeting nature of existence and the inevitability of death. Literature and philosophy began exploring human suffering, morality, and resilience. Psychologically, survivors carried trauma and grief. Families were destroyed, communities restructured. Traditions were abandoned, and new customs emerged. Some turned to religious zeal, others to rational thought and science. The plague reshaped society, and the collective memory influenced generations to come. The Black Death was not limited to Europe. Asia and the Middle East were heavily affected. Trade cities along the Silk Road, Cairo, Damascus, and Baghdad reported mass graves and deserted streets. The interconnected 14th century world ensured no region remained untouched. Humanity endured. From the despair emerged resilience. Medical knowledge slowly improved. Trade and culture eventually recovered. Yet the memory of the Black Death lingered for centuries, shaping art, medicine, economy, and philosophy. Personal stories reveal the human aspect. Accounts describe families losing multiple members in days, neighbors burying friends, and doctors dying while treating the sick. The emotional toll was immense, and grief was universal. Acts of bravery and compassion were celebrated, while fear, superstition, and societal breakdown were also widespread. The story of the Black Death is not merely statistics. It is human vulnerability, courage, and adaptation. It teaches lessons about society, public health, compassion, and the value of life. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, humanity can endure, learn, and rebuild. Standing in a town devastated by the plague, one could see streets empty, homes locked, markets closed, and funeral pyres burning constantly. Children lost parents, women lost husbands, men lost brothers. Fear was palpable, yet survivors persevered. Communities adapted with quarantines, health ordinances, and ritual changes. Society slowly reorganized itself around survival and resilience. The political impact was profound. Governments had to rethink taxation, labor laws, and public health measures. Clergy and rulers were tested, some failing, some adapting. Social hierarchies shifted as labor became more valuable. The feudal system weakened. Cultural evolution accelerated due to necessity. The religious and philosophical implications were immense. Humanity grappled with mortality, divine justice, and existential questions. Some believed it was a punishment from God, others sought explanations through observation and emerging science. Art, literature, and philosophy reflected the pervasive awareness of death and the preciousness of life. The Black Death shaped medicine. Physicians learned to observe symptoms carefully, record patterns, and attempt containment. Early quarantines were implemented in ports like Venice. The pandemic accelerated medical observation, public health policies, and urban sanitation practices. Survivors faced trauma, grief, and societal transformation. Communities that endured reshaped their economies, labor markets, and social structures. Women gained greater independence in some areas. Cities began developing civic responsibilities and health regulations. The Black Death's waves continued intermittently for decades. Each wave reinforced societal adaptations and survival strategies. Trade routes, cultural exchanges, and communication patterns were affected. Europe emerged changed, economically and socially, but also culturally richer and more resilient. Even today, the lessons of the Black Death are relevant. Modern pandemics remind us of the fragility of life, the importance of public health, and the need for societal resilience. Compassion, empathy, and human solidarity remain critical. History teaches that survival depends not only on science but on community, moral courage, and adaptation. The Black Death was more than a plague. It was a transformative force that reshaped humanity's trajectory. It affected religion, economy, philosophy, and culture. It tested human resilience and inspired acts of compassion. Its memory endures as a warning, a lesson, and a testament to the strength and vulnerability of humanity. Whenever we study this event, we see more than mortality statistics. We see human lives, families, communities, and societies confronting a challenge beyond comprehension. It teaches humility, reflection, and respect for life. It is a reminder of both the fragility and the resilience inherent in human civilization. The Black Death continues to fascinate historians, writers, and scientists. Its story is remembered, studied, and retold because it teaches timeless lessons about survival, humanity, and the consequences of vulnerability in an interconnected world. Thanks for watching.